So let's just look at shapes and patterns, how shapes and patterns can come into composition and affect a composition. In this image, we have a silhouette, and we have these birds sitting on the top of a church steeple, but it's the triangular shape of the steeple that is so strong. So look for shapes and patterns in your images. Look for shapes, look for really strong shapes. And this one then points the eye up. You know what you're supposed to be looking at because the triangle is like a big arrow that forces you to look up. Look for arrows, look for triangles, look for all these things in street photography. Study street photographers. You'll see the strong use of, especially street photographers, because they're in urban areas. You'll see these urban signs. They'll use arrows and things like that to point, and shapes and circles and squares. So look for those things, capture those things. We've got shapes here. We've got two circles overhead, but it's a very symmetrical image. It was very purposeful when I took this image. It was just an exploration in contrast and shapes. I just wanted the two circles. I wanted to capture those. You know, that's for me was the joy of that picture. It's not an emotional image. It's not a storytelling image, but it's just the fact that I saw the symmetry and I wanted to capture it, and I wanted that fantastic old dedication to chrome and glass that you see in the cars, and the symmetry of it all, how balanced it all is, just to capture that moment and record it. And here we're at the seaside again, and it's a helter-skelter, a big slide that children roll down. But it's that swirl, that shape of the red that draws the eye. That's so strong, it's so dynamic. And then you've got the lines thrusting up. So you've got lines and you've got curves. You know, look for the shapes, look for the patterns in images. Now here's a really, really powerful one. At first glance, the crop of the image isn't that great at composition, but what's interesting is look at the pattern. The two girls are both running. That is a repeating pattern. In street photography, you will see the best street photographers do this all the time. All the time, they're looking for duplications. They'll take a picture of an individual and there's a shop dummy in exactly the same pose behind. Look for repeating patterns. Look for repeating shapes. Really can make really, really interesting, compelling images when you start looking and seeing things like that. Now, when you're composing your image and when you're cropping your image and processing your image sometimes, use shapes to crop and compose. Now, this is a composition. I wanted the sense of the little boy reaching around, looking around the corner. And he's got that naughty little look, cheeky little grin on his face. But it's the fact it's a square. It's divided straight down the middle by the wall. You'll notice I did that very, very purposely. And now I've got him in one half and I've got the texture of the wall in the other. Now we've got a really interesting image because he's looking into space and that wall divides him from the person who's looking. He's not close, but he's looking. And you get the whole story because you're looking for the shapes in the image. And it's the shapes that give strength. So in this case, we've got a square and two rectangles. That creates a really strong compositional element.